How do you transform a colossal church into a futuristic house? Or turn a dilapidated old barn into a stylish family home? From industrial workshops to crumbling cottages, this series follows brave homeowners.
There is a chance that they might not fit, so it's a little bit scary.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
If it goes either way, it could really damage the window.
There you go.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an historic home.
Well, that'll last for hundreds of years.
In this episode,
Do you want help? Yeah, it's quite heavy, isn't it?
an ambitious young family make a life-changing move from the big city to the quiet countryside.
Enjoying yourself, Ted? You've got to work harder than that.
To transform this historic church hall into their dream country home.
I know we don't have any working bathrooms at the moment, so that's making me a bit nervous.
The only way to get these actually through the door is by taking these prayer shelves off, because at the moment the only one who's doing any praying is me.
But this ginormous build will come with many unwanted surprises,
I didn't anticipate turning myself into a tiner, but needs must.
including one that will rock the core of this determined couple.
Since his diagnosis, we've obviously had to put the project on hold for a couple of months.
The most remote places in the UK are becoming more and more attractive to house buyers, where the horizon is carved from nature rather than constructed with steel and brick. It's become an even more attractive proposition for city dwellers eager for a more rural, slower pace of life. Like this couple, events planner Louisa and her partner, antique book trader John from South London.
I've been in London for 12 years now, and Johnny's been in London for over 20. And, you know, we live in a small two-bedroom flat. We do have everything we need in London.
It's just kind of got to the point where,
We've had our time.
yeah, it's time to move out.
Yeah.
To find their forever home, it made sense for them to look where John was brought up, Cumbria. This area is home to the Lake District National Park, which covers almost 2,500 square kilometres and has 10 of the country's highest mountains. It is one of the most beautiful and popular tourist spots in the UK.
We spend so much time up here on holiday, and every time we're up here, we keep saying, oh, I can't believe people really live like this. And actually, we thought, well, maybe we could live like this and have the fresh air and the mountains and the sea. And the quality of life is really amazing up here.
Yeah. The ice cream's very good as well.
In October 2020, John paid just over £80,000 at auction for this cavernous 450 square metre dilapidated church hall in the Cumbrian village of Seascale, a mere 300 miles away from their home in London.
I was working from home one day and he came through and said, I've just bought a church hall. So that was a bit of a surprise, to say the least. So,
Yeah, it was for me too, yeah.
yeah. I was really excited, and he had spoken about it, but I didn't completely realise that he would actually click bid without going up to see it first. But here we are, and it's really exciting, and we've got to work with it, so...
Someone had bought it from the church diocese, I think, previously, and they'd spent 3 years trying to get planning permission, which they had, and then they'd started work on it and realised it was far too big a project for them to do.
Buying at auction is great if you're after a bargain. However, if you're looking for something out of the ordinary that wasn't even designed to be lived in, then you need to be prepared to do some major homework and take along a tape measure.
It is so much bigger than I ever thought it could be.
It was a small child, actually, passing the building site and said, yeah, whoever's bought this is either got loads of money or is really stupid. And I said, I'm one of those, and I haven't got much money.
The church hall was really busy until about 10 years ago, and it just fell into such disrepair they couldn't continue to use it. But before they closed their doors, it was used for the firemen's jumble sales and for brownies and for ballet classes. And they had these amazing discos in the basement that were held in, and the garden at one point was a tennis court. After the war, they had a veteran cinema club, which sounded so interesting.
It was a real, kind of centre of the community.
Yeah.
So it was really sad to see it all fall into disrepair.
It was. Although we want to turn it into a home, we also really want to retain that feeling that it was a church hall once, and it's still recognisable as a church hall. The church hall itself is too big for us to live in, just us. But the basement will be a 3-bedroom flat that we can actually move up here permanently. And with the main church hall, we explored the idea of maybe running a bed and breakfast or letting the whole place out to holidaymakers.
The footprint of the church hall will remain the same. But the rotted, glued-shut windows will need to be replaced, all 38 of them. Inside, in the basement, John will transform this space into a 3-bed, 2-bathroom home for the family. In the 9-metre-high cavern of the main hall, they will create the guest accommodation. 3 bedrooms will be constructed alongside a large dining area and kitchen. And where the original stage once stood, the full-height ceilings will be kept to create a living space. Above, they will extend the original mezzanine into a new floor, creating 2 more bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. 450 square metres, 3 floors, 8 new rooms. It's a monumental task. Now, it may have cost just over £80,000 to buy this historic hall, but transforming it into 2 modern homes is going to cost John and Louisa a lot more.
Our budget is £250,000. It's very difficult to kind of work out with something like that how much it's going to cost.
Hopefully maximum, though.
Yeah, we think we should manage for that.
John has a plan to make their limited budget stretch as far as possible.
Slight career change. I've been to Croydon and done a 5-day bricklaying course. So
For 500 quid, and it's hopefully going to pay off.
It was very, very thorough and very intense. But you need practical on-the-job experience, and I redid our front step to the entrance in London, and I plan on building essentially the basement, which will be like a 3-bed bungalow with 2 bathrooms, all the internal walls and all round there. A timescale of 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah, it's a little longer than traditional projects, purely because there's 300 miles between us. My work is based in London, so I won't be coming up very much. John will spend as much time as possible there, obviously with lots of contractors, but he'd really like to oversee the project.
And do as much bricklaying as possible as well. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard, obviously.
Just as the couple gear up to start work transforming the old hall, some unplanned delays hit the project. First, in October 2021, with the arrival of baby Ted. And then 11 months later, with a devastating health diagnosis for John.
I'd had an enlarged lymph node, just one, on one side of my neck. I had it checked out to find that there were a few cancer cells in there, which was a bit of a shock and just meant that we had to put things on hold while I had it treated.
John had to take 4.5 months off work to recover from the surgery. But now this determined couple are finally rolling up their sleeves to transform this historic hall into their dream country home. Creating the space for the holiday let on the ground floor will be a particularly difficult challenge.
We've already had a nightmare with the plastering because it's so high, so we had massive internal scaffolding in here. So it's cost loads of money to get it looking back to how it did look. This is the centre of the building, like it was for the church hall, it will be for the house as well. But it's got to feel homely. Now it is a home.
So far, John and Louisa have had the exterior sandblasted and painted. Inside, in the holiday let on the ground floor, new walls have gone up to create the kitchen, 3 bedrooms, dining area, and the 9-metre-high living space. They've also extended the original mezzanine level to create the new upper floor, and put up new walls to make the extra bathrooms and bedrooms.
Louisa wants to hang something artistic from the ceiling. I was thinking maybe an X-Wing fighter, Star Warsy thing or something. We do come from slightly different angles with regards to what we want to put in here. So we'll chat about it and kind of hope to come to some compromise, or maybe she'll just win and we'll go with what she wants.
John and Louisa have also installed this huge 5-metre tall staircase in the old stage area to reach the newly built upper floor. John was hoping to use the original mezzanine steps for access, but fire regulations called for staircase access at both ends of the upper floor, creating an unexpected £30,000 dent in their budget.
It's a bit brutal, but I think it fits with the church hall. Just because it's such a large space, a big industrially style staircase kind of works. And hopefully I'll still think that when it's finished.
The new upper floor will provide extra living space for their guests, but its construction has created a conundrum for Louisa and John's plans in the guest dining room, where they need to sit up to 20 people.
If you're putting a new floor in and you don't want the floor falling on your head, you're going to have these big steels in here. And we want a dining table, and it's going to be quite a big one because of the size of the place. So where would you put it? Do we put it on this side, or do we put it on the other side? It just kind of ruins the whole flow of the room. And then we thought, how about having the steels go through the middle of the table? It's just how to kind of engineer or have that done. But we think we're going to give it a go and see if it works.
Louisa and John have a small team of builders, but John's newly acquired bricklaying skills have enabled them to make great strides in their basement home area. Beneath the floor, John's laid 130 square metres of insulation. He's topped it off with a waterproof lining and underfloor heating. He's built new walls overlapping the existing exterior walls to properly insulate the space, and the walls that partition the 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. To prevent potential damage from floodwater, John's covered the bricks with a porous lime mortar and 3 layers of plaster. The rapid progress they've made throughout the building is even more impressive considering John's recent illness.
Since his diagnosis, we've obviously had to put the project on hold for a couple of months, but it really still hasn't stopped him. He's been really amazing.
Do you want help? Ah! Yeah, it's quite heavy, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks.
He's been brilliant. I'm so proud of him.
Just a week before his radiotherapy starts in London, John's still working hard. But is he doing too much?
I didn't anticipate turning myself into a tiler, but needs must. Tiling's one of the skills that I've learned. Also, how to fit a sink, how to fit a toilet, which doesn't sound too romantic. If you know someone who can do a decent professional job, copying them is the most useful thing. But lots of stuff on the internet you can find and teach yourself just about anything these days. So, saved money, given myself a little bit more stress, but it's your project. You should be as involved in as possible, really. And sometimes that's the only way to get things finished.
Two months on, and the plan for the bespoke behemoth of a dining table is coming together. Louisa is meeting with David Moore, a master joiner, whom she's tasked with creating this epic piece of furniture.
Hi.
Hi, morning, Louisa.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Thanks so much for meeting. I've brought the measurements with me
Right.
to go through with you.
Yeah, I've looked at the drawing. It'll be fine. It will be constructed in the same manner as these tops.
I'm worried if we have 2 pieces, we won't get it through the
It
door.
will be 4 pieces.
The table will be made of European redwood timber. To ensure it fits through the doors of the church, the carpenters must make it from 4 smaller pieces. They'll have to install them seamlessly around the 2 upright steels and bolt them together. 3 crossed steel girders will support the table and be painted to match the main steel columns. When finished, it will be a whopping 4.5 by 1.25 metres and seat 18 people.
I haven't really got a grasp on what a 4.5 metre table looks like.
This is an indication of the length of the table, and the width is 1.25. Is that wide?
Wow.
It's a very large table.
It's a big table, isn't it? Amazing. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We haven't made a table this size before. I think the biggest table we made was 3 metres. This is nearly double that size. One of the challenges of a table so big is that we managed to get the timber straightened enough that when it's jointed together, we've got no deviations in it. It's such a large table that it does need to be straight and flat, and yet try and keep the thickness to keep a nice 50, 52 mil tabletop. The next process is to biscuit joint these 2 panels together with glue and cramp them.
A biscuit joint is when a small piece of wood that looks like a biscuit is slotted into grooves on adjoining pieces of timber.
The biscuits align the timber to keep the timber level on the tops. This old cramping table I used to use when I was an apprentice. So this table probably could be 80, 90 years old. So it's nice to see it being used again. It does what it says on the tin. This cramps the wood together and it pushes it together.
After 15 minutes, the excess glue is removed and another length of timber added until the piece has reached the required width. Once sanded, the team will repeat the process for another 3 sections. And only then will it be ready for finishing and delivery to its forever home. Back at St Cuthbert's, and it's no surprise that John is hard at work. It's only been 3 weeks since he finished his radiotherapy, but John is pushing ahead. With the interior walls ticked off, John's moved on to another big project, a parking area that he started last summer.
This really was a long, arduous job. It took a long time. These bricks here, they weigh 4.5 stone each, if you can believe that. They're that thick and they're very dense. When I started off, I had a couple of cans of beer when I was doing the bricks in the evening, but how straight the bricks seemed that evening was very different to how they looked in the morning. So I had to stop that.
This would be a strenuous job for anyone, but it's a challenge John has grabbed with gusto, and the restoration budget is reaping the benefits.
If I got someone else to do this, it would probably cost about 20,000. So, as long as I consider myself free, then it's fantastic value for money.
Today, John is also in charge of deliveries.
Just arrived here to 3.5 metre original church pews, so they're over 100 years old, same as this place, and we thought they'd fit quite well at the back of the church hall, just on the stage area. £155 for 2, so that's 7 metres of church pews, so, yeah, a bit of a risk, but not a massive one. Wow, probably a little larger than I thought as well. We're not going to be able to get it through there. The only place I think we can possibly get it through, really, to get it in place, is up that fire escape at the back of the building and through that back door. And that's obviously really awkward. Yeah, right. These are big.
Maybe the delivery men can help. Maybe not.
It's not really a one-man job, really. I think probably the only way to get these actually through the door is by taking these prayer shelves off, because at the moment, the only one who's doing any praying is me. Oh, there you go. Easy enough. 2 off.
Could this be a fortuitous moment to bump into a friendly neighbour?
How you getting on with it, John?
Yeah, it's a long process, but getting there. Or one day we will, anyway.
Well, you're doing a great job for the village anyway, John.
Thank you. Oh, it's much appreciated. Yes. We'll have a jumble sale just by the bar.
For old time's sake.
For old time's
For old time's sake.
Exactly, yeah.
Brilliant.
You in a rush, Jason? You doing anything much?
Pew, Barney McGrew, I'm off.
OK. Thanks, Jason. Bye-bye.
St Cuthbert's first opened its doors in 1923. The hall's construction was funded by a local businessman, and it soon became the heart of the community. Over the decades, these walls have seen many dances and performances put on by the local Am-Dram Society. It even had its own band, the Meteors. Anyone and everyone from this remote community used it, and even from much further afield. Russian President Georgy Malenkov was visiting the nearby nuclear plant in 1956, and keen to see where the local workers spent their free time, popped his head in. More than 60 years later, he wouldn't recognize the place. John is finding solutions to logistical problems. And progress is everywhere to see. It's hard to believe that the building has been derelict for the last 10 years. The vast open space of the main hall has been divided up to create the rooms for the holiday let, including 3 bedrooms off a connecting corridor, a kitchen, and huge dining and living room. The steels in the middle of the room are supporting an entirely new upstairs floor. This is accessed through the former stage area and up the new staircase. They're making great progress, especially considering John is up and down to London for radiotherapy. Elsewhere, the work is intensifying. The new wiring for the whole building is going in.
It's quite an older building. We completely have to rewire it. We should be finished within the next couple of months.
And 175 square metres of original pitch pine church hall flooring is being restored to its former glory.
I'll probably be here 8 days. It's already starting to show its true colour. It's a treasure, really, pitch pine. I think it comes from the east coast of America. It was used a lot in the shipbuilding industry because it's very oily and so resistant to rot. There's an industry of reproducing it, but it's not necessarily easy to find, and it won't necessarily be cheap either.
The hall may be packed with workers now, but soon there'll be plenty of space for fixtures, fittings and furniture. So it's off to Cockermouth for a bit of inspiration and retail therapy.
We're in need of everything at the moment. I'd really like to find things that are in keeping with the period of the property as well, so hopefully some fun bits that will add a bit of character to the property. Wow, look at this. Dinner call or something for the church hall. 50.
50 quid for this.
£50. This is 50.
Chips and gravy twice, please.
I think that's going to look amazing when you walk in. We haven't got any chest of drawers, we haven't got any shelves, we haven't got any tables, and I'm hoping to get as much reclaimed stuff as possible that we can sand, paint, do nice things with. So trying to be as sustainable as possible.
Is that the kind of thing that you were looking for?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was looking for. I think that's everything.
As one home is being filled, another is being emptied.
We're leaving in 2 weeks' time, so trying to pack everything up. It's, a bit chaotic. We don't have very much space to move boxes as we go. Johnny's up in Cumbria at the moment. He is finishing the floors and painting. Feeling quite apprehensive about it. I'm not sure how much of a building site it's going to be. I know we don't have any working bathrooms at the moment, so that's making me a bit nervous.
A few weeks later, and the whole family is now settling into Cumbrian life. 2 years after buying the hall.
Oh, look at that. It's a black blue. We finally moved in the basement. We finally got a toilet or two that works after 2 years. And we had to move the tradesmen out, especially joiners using it for wood cutting, so all the MDF dust and the plaster is the plaster dust. So we had to get rid of that. That looks amazing, actually. I really quite like that.
The community have been so amazing, and everyone that's walked by has said, you know, do you need anything? You know, is there anything we can do to help? Which has just been fantastic. And Ted's just started a nursery up the road, and yeah, I feel like this is already becoming home, even though we're on a building site and it's a bit chaotic. But it's great.
The move has helped Louisa commit more time to the restoration, and she's sourced even more furniture to upcycle.
We scouted around with some of our neighbours about furniture they needed to take to the tip, and our really lovely neighbours just said, oh, we've got a couple of side tables. I'm just sanding them now, and then I'll just repaint them, and they'll be our new bedside tables.
There may be joy at finally being together full-time, but there's still a lot to do to make their new home habitable.
No, I don't want it.
You enjoying yourself, Ted? You're not getting paid for this, Ted. You're gonna work harder than that. We're hanging this old cupboard that Louisa's bought.
Up. Right.
Shall I hold it like this and you drill it?
No, you drill it.
You sure?
No, okay, yeah, actually, I'll do it. Have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's in.
Well done. Okay. Brilliant, that's it. That's in and this is in. As easy as that. Oh.
Oh my God, it doesn't stay closed. Oh my God!
Just get a little latch or something. That's what happens when you get old rustic furniture. Right, okay. Next.
Upstairs, and also yet to furnish, is the holiday let that dominates 2 floors of the church hall. But Louisa has it all in hand.
So this has been hiding for the last week. It's all the baby stuff, all of our worldly belongings, and somehow I managed to squeeze in a mirror ball without Johnny seeing, camouflaged as shoes. So it's here now, no turning back. We're going to have to put it up whether Johnny likes it or not. I'm not sure how I'm going to explain it. I'm hoping Johnny wasn't sharp enough to notice that it used to say mirror ball.
Another key delivery arrives outside.
Good morning.
Morning, Louisa. Morning, John.
Are we all set then?
Yeah, we've got the table here.
Oh, exciting.
Brilliant.
Oh, look at that. Feels like quite a momentous moment, doesn't it? It's like the end's in sight. Christmas, your family, my family. It's going to be lovely.
Ted running and jumping on the table.
Before there's any riotous tabletop behaviour from Ted, the timber needs to be waxed.
It has got water repellent and heat-resistant properties.
Artisan furniture maker Michael Farrer has been working alongside David's team to create the bespoke table.
Where the wax grabs, it goes a bit darker and gives it a lovely rustic finish. It gets into the cracks and the twists and shakes and the coarser areas of the grain there, which gives it extra protective properties as well.
The table has been hand cut in the workshop to precision fit around the steel columns.
Now, this is the moment of truth. Please. Oh, my God. I tell you what, I think these lads have done this before.
An hour and a half and 2 coats of wax later, they attach the industrial steel legs created by Michael.
Oh my gosh, look! It looks amazing. Thank you so much.
Honestly, David, it's fantastic.
It just fits so well around the steels. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, I think the girder legs make it as well. The girder legs look really good.
Really
They complement the steel beams.
I feel quite emotional. It's really amazing, isn't it? It looks fantastic.
They may have a dining table fit for a banquet, but there won't be any guests staying here if they don't get everything finished by their summer holiday season deadline, just a few short weeks away. With sea, air and space, it's easy to see why Louisa and Johnny wanted to move from London to beautiful Cumbria. However, their project has not been an easy one, having to overcome both personal and logistical hurdles. But have they managed to pull it off? The dining room is a triumph, particularly the table, which perfectly wraps around the central steels, making a feature out of a potential problem.
We really wanted something in the church hall that would really feel like it was made for the church hall and built into the structure of it. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity. We just couldn't work out how we could feed 20 people in this room without it being really complicated. And it's great, it really feels like the beating heart of the building.
The custom-made legs help echo the chunky metal feel. The wooden tones of the table complement the beautiful wooden floors.
They're the original 101-year-old floors, pitch pine. We had them sanded and lacquered.
We were quite surprised how red it's come up, just how amazing this has all of its colour.
Yeah.
So this was a real pleasant surprise, really, that it's come up so well.
We've got the original lights in here, which were in the church hall.
So they're 100 years old, from the 1920s. Nice to incorporate them all. They've got about 7 different coats of paint on them.
John and Louisa have done their utmost to retain every shred of the church hall's authenticity. From the original radiators, which they've sanded and repainted, to keeping the brass plaque that marks the opening of the church hall in pride of place. They've also added historical notes of their own, from a Victorian watchmaker's table and hall of bentwood chairs, to an antique train station master's phone and fire bell.
I like the idea of being able to do the dinner call and ringing it before dinner's ready, and so the whole building can hear you. And is that really good?
You need to in a building this size as well. Shall I go and give it give it a quick ring?
You love it.
Definitely, it still works, yeah.
Everywhere you look is a piece of furniture or decoration with a story to tell, a history to be added to. The first 3 bedrooms of the holiday let are complete. Light floods in from the large windows. In the old stage area, Louisa and John have transformed another unwanted eyesore into a showstopper.
Because we were putting another floor in, we had to have a massive staircase, and it had to be made bespoke because you couldn't get a staircase to fit. And it was very expensive, and it just looked quite ugly. So we decided to make a feature out of it and paint it really loud, really bright colour.
By owning the staircase and fully embracing it with such a vivid blue, they've managed to create something quite unique.
It just looked like a fire escape before, and now it's a work of art.
This extraordinary room is like an undressed stage with a wonderful, undefined quality to it. But that's part of its charm.
We have this huge space, and we weren't really sure what to do with it because it obviously warrants a huge painting or a mural. But what we did think we could do is hang a projector from the bottom of the stairs to project there, to have this as perhaps like a home cinema room or somewhere that we can host events, but I really want to retain some sense of this being a blank space so we can use it for so many different purposes. I like the idea of the fact that you can play cricket, the kids can put plays on, you can meditate, you can do yoga, you can watch the football on the projector.
On the ceiling, the lights have a stage-like feel, and there's another feature hanging high which hints at the room's past.
So I got my glitter ball, which I'm absolutely delighted with. Johnny really didn't want me to get it, and he doesn't hate it.
It's not quite as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still quite bad.
At the top of the now characterful staircase, the mezzanine is huge and has a great sense of scale and light.
This whole floor wasn't here before. So we had a very small mezzanine that we then extended almost out to the stage. So up on this floor, we've been able to accommodate 2 bathrooms, this huge bedroom and another sort of medium-sized double bedroom. It doesn't matter what the weather is or what time of day, from dawn to dusk, we could just get the most incredible light in here.
Being up amongst the roof structure with huge timbers and steel ties is a clever touch.
We really wanted this room to feel like an escape from the sort of social hub of the main room with the table, and we anticipate this house being full of lots of people and lots of energy and families, so this hopefully will be a sort of quieter, more peaceful spot for people to escape to.
On a floor created in the ceiling space of the cavernous church hall is now an expansive family room, 2 smaller bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. All of this plus the floor below makes for one giant holiday rental. But of course, that's not all. What was once the derelict, damp basement has now also been transformed. The result of John's outstanding efforts to build his family the home of their dreams. A huge amount of work has been done to stop the damp, and now it feels warm and dry. Even though it's in the basement, the light quality is good and the size of the space is impressive. Ted now has a bright and spacious bedroom. And unlike their old flat in London, John and Louisa can now have guests to stay. And the master bedroom too has been thoughtfully decorated, making it feel spacious and light. The exterior of the church is also looking resplendent. The 38 rotting windows have been replaced, and the walls have been sandblasted and repainted. In the garden, John's relaid the decking and has put his bricklaying skills to good use, building the garden wall by hand and creating a double parking space. It's an unbelievable achievement to design, project manage and restore a historic building into not 1, but 2 homes, sleeping up to 20 people. And what a journey. So has it been worth it?
If we knew what we know now and how difficult it would be, we would never have done it. But being at this point and having gone through that, then we're glad that we did.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't really foresee, you know, cancer and a baby and all this stuff that happened in the middle of the build as well. There was a moment after your diagnosis where I thought, this build is just crazy. We should just stay in London, forget about it, sell it, and just concentrate on your health. And actually, in retrospect, now that John's better, this was the best thing for his healing. A, to have something to feel really positive about, and B, to have the sort of retreat at the end of it where we can live happily and healthily and enjoy everything that life has to offer up here. Now that we're at the end of it and we've got through all of those things, and it's been a really, you know, happy ending.
John and Louisa bought the property for just £80,000 and planned to spend no more than £250,000 restoring it. But with unexpected costs and rising prices, they've used up all their savings and sold a property to raise the £400,000 it took to undertake this transformation, nearly twice their original budget. The truth is, the original budget was wrong. They've created a 5-bedroom house and a large 3-bedroom flat for £400,000. That's less than £1,000 per square metre. A refurbishment like this would normally cost at least twice as much. The final build cost, although more than they'd planned, is impressive. But is there anything they would have done differently?
We should have moved up sooner and, you know, stayed somewhere nearby, or had someone project manage it.
Yeah, I think we've said that, yeah, it seemed easier in my head than it turned out to be to try and manage things from afar. But having, a general contractor, it would have been a lot easier, a lot less stressful, yes. Not saved money, but saved on the stress, that's for sure. The bricklaying course, 5 days in Croydon, was probably the best money that I've spent, really, because I've done all the walls in the basement, which is the equivalent of a 3-bed bungalow. The wall outside in the garden, which I think is rather good, and a few other things as well. In terms of doing the bricklaying myself, I've saved over £30,000, I'd say. I have a lot more
respect for everyone who works with their hands every day. It's not easy.
It's been pretty magical moving up here. It's been really scary at times and financially very frightening and daunting, and it's been really hard to see the end sometimes, but this has all been so worth it. And waking up with the sea on your doorstep and the mountains behind you, it's just, it's magical in this incredible building, which I think it really has transformed into something that's beautiful, I hope, to the community, and it's got so much soul.
Yeah.
So it feels really good to have reignited it.
This building has been standing here in the heart of the local community for 90 years. So Louisa and John felt it only right to open the doors once more to the people of Seascale.
Well, thanks for coming to help us celebrate finally finishing this.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
And what do they think of its reinvention?
I remember dancing on the stage in ballet concerts. I remember being here for rummage sale. For Louise and John to come in and to do what they've done with it is just spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Table and the staircase are absolutely my favourites. They're so in your face, you can't miss them. Yeah, they're lovely. It makes my heart glad that somebody has rescued it because it's so much part of Seascale.
It's excellent. A lot of work carried out, and they've spent a lot of time on it, but it is really looking good now. When Louisa and John first came to see us and explained what it was all about and that it had to be built around some pillars and that, we thought it might be difficult, but it's worked really well, and we're very pleased with the outcome. And I'm sure that it will be used very well, and they'll spend a lot of time having a lot of drink and a lot of parties on it.
I was in the church choir and we had confirmation classes downstairs, and the memories are all flowing back. See the regeneration of a well-loved building, a building of historical interest, it's just wonderful. It's survived 100 years, and 100 years from now, hopefully this building will still be here.